Qualification Commission of Judges gets rid of the members who criticize the work of the HQCJ. So we give the floor to Andriy Kozlov, member of the High Qualification Commission of Judges, and colleagues, please.
Натисніть, будь ласка, на кнопку.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. This is the 6th day my firing is going on. On Thursday, on the eve of Constitution Day, the information appeared, and even some alleged document that the Ombudsman on Human Rights wants to they want to fire me. Unfortunately, I didn't get any information from the office of the Ombudsman on this. That's why I would like to speak with you, and I would like to start with me in order not to have doubts about professionalism. So I am a professional. I'm working as a lawyer. I started to work as a lawyer in 1997. I graduated from International Relations University, and I got the I graduated and got the diploma of the lawyer. I started to deal with aviation matters, legal matters, and I worked on the case of Greece dispatcher, and I worked on the case of 154. I worked for many years for free, and the appeals were not fired to the European Court of Human Rights. And also I worked on the case connected with Afghanistan. And also I dealt with the issues of terminal of Charles de Gaulle Airport. This was the legal case as well. Also, I prepared a complaint to the court concerning the case Ukraine without Kuchma, and for the first time the peaceful assembly was prohibited. I prepared an appeal, and the decision of the court was cancelled, and this case became a cornerstone in aviation law. And there were many cases connected with business. They are not public, but there were bankruptcies of big metallurgy plants and different court hearings and many consultations. So I didn't come from nowhere, and you may see the media information starting in 1999, and why I joined the High Qualification Commission of Judges. First, I was an observer in Constitutional Committee. I worked for DRI, German project, and this project was supported and funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Germany. On their proposal, I was an observer, an expert at High Qualification Commission, and and also these were the matters of decentralization and human rights, and I participated in these processes, and I attended the meetings, and I commented there. Then I was invited as a guest, as a consultant to the Council of Judiciary Reforms, and I had a lot to say, and I also wanted to provide a right of veto to the Public Integrity Council and to deal properly with the matters of opinion. So you participate in the reform, you want to implement it into life, and I believe that we would succeed. And people said that I won't cope, and this time I didn't cope. Also, I would like to use my experience and my knowledge about modern practices of work of HR offices. High Qualification Commission of Judges. This is the judiciary body that selects judges and carries out contests through qualification assessment. This is the symbiosis of the legal firm and the big HR agency that selects judges. That's why we want to have psychological tests. I would like that we would have proper candidates. The candidate should prove that he is good for the position, that they can occupy this position. Also, we want changes. I attended court hearings in Ukraine, and there are terrible things. Some people do not understand many things, or they pretend that they do not understand them. So I had good expectations, and I came in November 2016, and thousands of judges decided to leave profession. They were not the worst, but it has shown that the proper procedures may disclose many problems of different representatives of judiciary. Later on, I saw it concerning Maidan judges in 2016-2017. There was a change of paradigm. I felt that the situation reversed, and previously the judges of Maidan, those who arrested and didn't use the procedures of proper articles concerning medical assistance to people, those who were deprived of their driver's licenses. So this was about, you remember that in Maidan they had logistics, and people were deprived of driver's licenses, and also they also prohibited some public assemblies, and these people were fired, and later on some weird things started. So the reality I faced in the Commission, we cannot say that it is bright. Despite many contradictions in opinion and ideology, Commission often believes that it is in the criminal process, and those who are in front of us, he is innocent, and if a person said that they had all their assets during Soviet times, we have to believe it. For example, several millions, some grandmothers or great-grandmothers, they provided these millions to them. There were such stories, but they couldn't prove this. This is not about being guilty. This is about meeting criteria. It is important to see that not only judges, but also their close ones, the family, that they do not have the problems. This is done in order to provide fair judiciary, because otherwise these people will be influenced on when this need appears. if we are speaking about the communication with the colleagues in the Commission, our cooperation or lack of cooperation, often I was in the minority because the majority of the Commission are judges or former judges, and those who are not judges, they also are of different background and age and social origin. So we are all different. So we should provide opinion, and we should deliver this opinion. We should write it. And in a day, we have some procedures when we need to prepare some materials and to verify what is the materials of other colleagues, because there are different things, for example. We should share the opinion. We should look at the opinions of our colleagues in order to improve in the course of some communication. And we had a conflict at the beginning of June. So this is not about winning by majority or the criteria to the assessment that I do not accept. The majority, they only had 11 votes, and they didn't want to accept results, and they decided to announce a break. And I didn't want to participate in this. It was impossible for me. I believe that the voting happened, and the result was that the judge didn't get 11 votes to overcome the opinion of PIC, and this judge should have been fired. And then there was a discussion, including in the media. There were some printed publications on this. Then there were other attempts to hold some meetings, and I ignored these meetings because I didn't want to repeat the same story. This would be even worse. And the last meeting should have happened on the 26th of June, and there were some rumors about my discharge. I believe that the reason is, it always seemed to me that in this activity you should adhere to the simple principle. You should never surrender. You should never give up. You should be resistant. So the last fight with the Commission, this fight in commas, of course, it's hard to get consent, and there were some steps made, and I'm sure that the committee does not have resources to make some steps in order that the Ombudsman on Human Rights took decision that is now being discussed. Also about the reason, the information that is in the media. Ms. Denisova, she, or what they try to present as her opinion in this case, they believe that that I do not have a proper professional term, so about 15 years. But I've told you about the cases I reviewed, and they were of high complexity, and it is weird to see that you are a fake lawyer, especially in connection with the fact that you are not a lawyer, but your certificate of a lawyer is continued. So, what they say about the term, about the certificate of the lawyer, and that it was not stopped. And I am sure, and I demonstrated in the media, the advocature a certificate of December 2003, and you can clearly see the signatures on the certificate, and Sirash signature, and he was appointed through the last contest. So the situation is really interesting. So I was able to get such documents, and the subject who took this decision, he was not able to get such certificate. These documents were presented, they were sent by email. I do not understand why this problem exists. So in May, I sent to the Ombudsman office, together with the explanations, I sent a big pack of documents. And these documents, they reflect the opinion of the Qualification Commission, and as a legal joke, I have been working on the commission for 2.5 years, and some time was added to it. So this position is really weird.
Besides that, the Andriy had an extract from the Council of the Kiev Attorneys issued in November 2018 that I have suspended my activity as an attorney. Of course, it was not possible to continue my activity as an attorney, having become a judge. The fact there are different groups of attorneys in Kiev are in a conflict, in continuous conflict. I was provided with the document issued one of those groups in the conflict, and the fact that that another group does not recognize it, it's not a problem. So this is a description of the situation. So why? What are the reasons? First of all, this is a political reason. It is related to the change of power in this country, and it is due to a wish of new power to put the Judges' Council into its service. On the other hand, many people keep saying that the High Commission of Judges should be reformatted. Okay, but I would like to hear from those who will deal with the judicial reform now, either Mr. Bogdan or Mr. Ryabashapka or Mr. Vovk or Mr. Patnov, who will deal with the judiciary reform, whether they support that in the Integrity Council of the High Judiciary Commission, the majority should be represented by the civil activists, like here, or they saying that in any way the reforming commission of the High Commission of Judges also should comprise the majority of civil activists, just like the Integrity Council. Or we should have a mix of three different forces. The civil activists, foreign experts, and the judiciary sector. So observing what's going on proves to me that the legal changes do not cover the recent changes. Mr. Ostapets, who recently joined the commission, was a friend of Mr. Kyavalov. Mr. Sirash, who used to be a judge of the Administrative Court of Ukraine, and the Public Council of Integrity produced its opinion about him, which was negative opinion. Also, Mr. Drozdov, head of the High Qualification Commission of Attorneys. These are those new faces whom we have today in that High Commission of Judges. So the question is whether we want these new faces to be present, or we want those new faces which will truly change the face of the High Commission and reform it, or we again will simply witness the change of people from one branch of power to people from newly came power. That is, I strongly believe that the Public Integrity Council and Public Council of International Experts should present equal number of experts. And I'm ready to fight for this, my position. Some people keep saying that I will be unable to do this, but I am very resolved to fight. I would like to thank to my friends and colleagues who support me. I want to thank our colleagues from Public Integrity Council. I would like to thank to my friends and parents who have been supporting me. I would like to thank to a woman who supports me, and thank you very much. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. Please raise your hands. Good afternoon, I'm Ina. I'm a representative of Stop Corruption TV. Some days ago, you delivered a big interview to our TV program. Whether your dismissal is connected to this fact. As I have already mentioned, my dismissal is a result of my strong position. I did not want to change it. What was the opinion of your colleagues about your dismissal? Although this may sound strange, but I have found support of my colleagues because, like me, they understand that this is the issue of the institutional maturity when the power tries to dismiss members. It only shows that they are testing our majority, while the Commission itself had reached some achievements which had shown good potential of this body, and it should continue to work. As far as I understand that you will claim against this decision. If it finally will be issued, yes, of course. Any further questions? Barnatsky Pavlo Stepanovich. chief editor of the Vyber newspaper, special correspondent, and special correspondent of the anti-corruption newspaper Korupcyjny Wісник. I would like to show my I'm an author of the appeal to dismiss you or withdraw you. And we applied for your dismissal long before the power was changed. And today I have 5 open court cases for the threat to my life. The circulation of my newspaper Vyber is more than 5 million copies. I was only one representative of mass media who attended all the competitions to the High Commission of High Qualification Commission of Judges, and I was at the State Court Administration at the Congress of judges, etc. For me, the procedure how the members of the Higher Qualification Commission of Judges is important. For example, Mr. Lukash submitted a fake certificate about his and he submitted the application for dismissal. For me, it's important that members of the High Qualification Commission of Judges should be elected in a lawful way. Now, a question to you. I do not have any questions to you as Mr. Andriy Kozlov. I'm interested in the lawfulness of election of all members of the commission. And I provided Mr. Lukash as an example. I also participated in the session devoted to the selection of the Ombudsman on Human Rights. I am neither supporter of Poroshenko's power, nor the supporter of Yanukovych, Portnov, etc. authorities. Please start your question, or we will. My question to you. how the lawyer should prove the years of service as an attorney. The law says that you should be registered in the register of attorneys and you should pay taxes. You did not have this record, and I believe that you were appointed unlawfully. And I believe that without your joint work in the same concern with Filatov, you won't be appointed. First of all, I would like to wish you strength and stamina in your continuous fight against those people against whom you try to find. Now, answering about your question about Alexei Filatov. In the university where Filatov and me studied together, we never met as students. This was a rather big university. As for the Constitutional Commission, I was delegated to the Constitutional Commission by Democracy Reporting International. This is an international organization, and Alexei Filatov's body simply accepted that, and that's it. With Filatov, we worked as partners. We worked for half a month, and at that time his company stayed in different premises, and I even was not located in the same premise as him. At that time we were dealing primarily with the aviation cases, while his field was intellectual and neighboring rights. The cases which I had in my portfolio were important. I got the powers of attorney from the Cabinet of Ministers, from the Ministry of Defense, when I, as an attorney, defended the case of crashed airplanes like Tu-134, etc. As to your interpretation of the law says that says about service years in the field of law, not about the service years in general. By the way, that famous aviation case about airplane 134, my ways crossed with the ways of Mr. Bogdan. I believe that Commission's HR department checked and double-checked all my confirming documents about my activities in the field of law. I tried to answer your question. I'm absolutely sure that all the period of my activities during all these years from 2004 up to the last year, except the year 2014, when I did not deal with the sphere of law, when I volunteered for the army. This was the continuous period of my work. Thank you. If you have further questions to the speakers, you may ask them personally. Unfortunately, we cannot hear because they do not speak to the